along with host and age explorer Rod Gontos on his continuing journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older. The Raad Life is brought to you this week by Your Home for a Lifetime, a company dedicated to empowering you to stay safely, independently, and comfortably in your own home. And now here is your host, Rad Gontos.
We're on.
Okay, because I was just getting into the beat of the music, right? I mean, I'm on vacation, but were you on vacation
I was
too?
afraid to interrupt you because you guys were just chatting away, so I figured I'll just
Well, you know what?
let the music run.
You know what? Of course I'm chatting away, right? Greg is no stranger to the show or this room.
You brought an Air Force colonel in here.
Marine.
I'm sorry, Marine. Sorry,
Marine.
Marine
Oh,
colonel.
my.
Jeez.
Air Force colonel's like a Marine captain.
Do you have a sound
wow.
bite for, like, crash and burn there, Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought a Marine colonel in
There you
here,
go.
and you
Yes.
didn't show up 15 minutes early because to him, when it says the show starts at noon, that means you got to be here.
Well, I figured you're going to
15
need
minutes
that
early.
long to get your technical difficulties out of the way, right?
Okay, all right.
Okay, so be careful, right? I've had some rest and vacation, so I'm full force.
He's ready.
now,
All right.
Anyway, but yes, my guest actually today is no stranger to the show.
No.
Welcome back, Mr. Greg Raths, Mayor of Mission Viejo.
Absolutely.
And yes, retired Marine Colonel.
Yes. But I flew airplanes, so that's probably why I got mixed up.
Yeah, well, you know
That's
what?
right.
What do you expect from people from the
I know.
Midwest?
And
right?
didn't you ran the El Toro base? Were you the
No,
commander?
I ran an air group.
Air group there? Okay, all
Right, and for those who have not listened to the previous shows, shame on you, right? But then you really would not know what. Let's share with them because you have a certain notoriety in that role beyond just being of service to the country, where people may not connect the dots. And you did the first time you were on. You mentioned something about that particular air squadron and something about a movie.
Yeah, the Black Knights. Actually, it was a squadron. I did command a group. The squadron was VMFA 314, the Black Knights, and that was in the movie Independence Day, which was Will Smith's great movie.
And
And they filmed it at our squadron at
Didn't
El Toro.
somebody have like a call signal or something, or a plane or something?
Well,
that-
he was Black Knight 1, which
Yeah.
was my airplane,
There-
Black
there-
Knight 1.
yeah.
So a couple of my pilots, a guy named
Flew.
Chewy was in the they were in the movie, and they actually had to get their Screen Actor Guild
Card, yeah,
and
yeah.
everything just to be in the movie.
You know-
I think he said 2 words, but he
Yeah.
gets residual checks about every 6 months. He gets like $200 or something.
If anybody
Absolutely.
wants to give me my SAG card and give
Yes.
me residual checks, you didn't get any, did you?
No, I was
What the heck?
too stupid. I didn't know these checks would come for the next 20 years.
Yeah, they do. And what was your call sign?
I was the Snake.
The snake.
The snake,
I was Snake.
Yeah, Snake.
I went right for the throat.
for those who know. And a shout out to Don Brown,
Yes, Don Brown.
a fellow San Clementian who you know very well.
Yes, he was when I was in a squadron, he ran the operations for the air group.
And what's doing between
And
the
I would get in
squadron?
trouble.
Oh, so
He-
that's your connection.
Yeah, he would get me out of trouble. I got in big trouble. I did a low level or takeoff and low transition, and the group commander was out running, and he saw it, and they told me to get my butt back to base, and they chewed out Brown.
So Don Brown had your back.
Well, let's say they chewed him out, then he chewed me out.
Oh, okay.
I
but,
see.
Okay.
But he'll never let me forget that to this day.
Well, a shout out to Don Brown. I
Yeah.
saw him the other day at the.
And let's just
at the
clarify
TCA
for those who are
meeting.
questioning and tweeting in. So what's the difference between a squadron and a group? A group's made up of different squadrons?
Yes, a squadron is 12 airplanes, 18 pilots, and then maintenance crew. An air group is usually 6 to 10 squadrons.
Squadrons.
So I had one squadron when I was lieutenant colonel. I had an air group when I was colonel, and then actually I command an air wing, which is 6 air groups. So
You know what's funny about your question, right, Paul? You're wearing a T-shirt that says what exactly?
It says Chino Hall of Fame. That's
Air
why I love-
Museum.
Air Museum. Because that's where we went over the weekend. We're going to go. They're going to have
You would think he would know that.
May 4th
No, it's
and
pretty
5th.
I don't know battalions and regiments and all that.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
I just got to do a plug. Do you ever go out to any of the
I
air
go to
shows?
I go to Chino. I actually flew in the air show at El Toro many times.
Oh, very cool.
Cool.
as a pilot, but since that's shut down now, they got a big orange balloon hanging over the field.
Yeah, I know. I know.
People go
I-
up and down.
I see it every once in a while.
Not quite the same.
No, it's not the same. But Miramar is
I
the
think it's
master
the Great
jet
Pumpkin,
base.
actually.
Yeah, it is. It's sad.
Listen, so first time around, you were on the show. You were here because of your book.
Yes, I wrote a book called
Wrote a book that-
9 Lives of a Fighter Pilot.
And where can people find that?
You go on Amazon or anything online, you'll find it.
Okay, so go find that out. I thought it was a really good book.
Yeah, I'm in my 9th life now. I should have been dead 8 times while I flew jet fighters.
Because you flew off carriers and other places, pretty precarious flights.
And you've been posting some pictures lately too that are reminiscent of that time.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm so proud of that. I was 30 years active duty. I flew jets. I flew the F-4 Phantom and then the F-18 Hornet. I'm mostly off of aircraft carriers, Desert Storm, combat veteran of Desert Storm, and Restore Hope and Southern Watch. So I don't know. My father was a World War II pilot. My son's an F-18 guy, so we have 3 generations of pilots.
I didn't know your son followed in your footsteps.
Thank you all for your
Yeah,
service.
he's a major in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. That's
And what
awesome.
did your dad fly in?
He flew the 820 Havoc. It's single pilot bomber with 2 gunners. Is a mid-range bomber. So.
And this was in
World War II over in Europe, 9th Air Force, 2 missions on D-Day. Not winner, I guess. He was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross, several air medals, and just amazing story.
It's amazing.
My dad was a B-17 pilot. That's why I'm going to these museums trying to teach my 5-year-old grandson what his great-grandfather did in the War Daddy, and trying to make sure he doesn't forget all this. And there are great air museums around that I've discovered, like the one at here in
Chino?
Well, there's
You're
one
talking
at
about the Lions.
The Lions. Yeah.
Hawthorne has one. Miramar has one down in San Diego.
I think he's talking about the one here right off Red Hill and.
The Lion
Lions,
Museum.
yeah. General Lyons. He's an Air Force general.
There's a B-17 there, and
Still
then there's
around.
he is like late 90s, and then there's
Takes a
2 out in
helicopter
Chino,
over.
and there's one out in Palm Springs. There's an air museum there. I didn't know
And
there
then
was
the
one in
second
Hawthorne.
time you were on, I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but I think you were running for
U.S. Congress.
2014.
2014,
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing running for all these offices?
We asked you that question
Just
at the
your wife
time.
says, just stay home and let's travel around, have fun. What are you wasting all this time for?
Yeah, the first time I ran, I have no grandkids. 2014. Now I got 6. So my kids are
Congratulations.
starting to work it.
Very
so
cool.
6 grandkids. I have 3 kids. Each have 2.
So I know you I mean we've known each other for a while.
Yeah.
And then we both live sort of call it South County, right? So we have common things that we're always communicating about and things of that nature, right? And one of the things, and I don't want to focus on it, but we'll talk about the toll road, we'll talk about the TCA, basically I think on every level, would you agree that Orange County has changed quite a bit? How long have you been in South County?
41 years.
Mission Viejo?
Yes, I bought my first home in 78.
Wow.
Right. So it's changed quite a
Yes.
bit, right? And
Yes.
we used to be insulated down there a little bit in a bubble, but
We're
then,
like way down by the orange
but
groves.
it hasn't escaped us. It's been touched.
I mean, it's not the orange curtain anymore. It's not.
Well, so, and then it's unavoidable to have a conversation, especially if you're running for Congress now in 2020. That the changing face of Orange County has also had an impact on the political environment,
yes,
right?
Yes, big time.
Big time. So, from your perspective, because would it be fair to say that you've been off service, whether it's in the military or in public service, for a lot of your life?
Yes, since 6 years old in Cub Scouts.
Wow.
I was an Eagle Scout too.
Wow.
Boy Scouts. I was my class president in high school.
I seriously.
why
wouldn't
the
work
urge
consider
to
us-
serve? Why not just
30 years in the Marine Corps.
Why the urge to constantly
Serve
put
it.
up with this?
I serve on board of directors of Boy Scouts.
Yes, you do.
I help. I'm Patriots and Paws for
Patriot
vet.
Paws,
Yeah, we
yes.
talked about that in
Shout
time.
out for
Penny Lambright. Yeah, we're
who's
having
been
a
on the show too.
big golf tournament May 6th at Tustin Golf Club, by the way, 9 a.m.
A great charity
nice plug.
that offers free furniture to.
Penny, give me that
Yeah.
information, or Greg, give me the information.
Yeah.
We'll post it on the
May
website.
6th.
Yeah,
It's
they're
in 3
she's
weeks.
friend of the
3
show.
weeks. Yeah, it's coming
Okay.
out. So.
Great organization.
So you serve in nonprofits, you serve in boards,
You're
you
also-
serve
you're
the
also-
country, you serve in public office. Why the urge
American
to serve?
Legion.
You're also a representative on the Veterans.
Yes, I'm the vice chairman of the Orange County Veterans Advisory Council.
Shout out to Lisa Bartlett.
Yes, she
I think.
appointed me to
Yeah.
that, and Bobby McDonald is our chairman. Who's a great guy.
And I will break the
Navy
news.
guy.
I will break the news here. We are currently working with Lisa's office to get her on the show too.
Well, great.
It looks like it's going to happen next month.
I appreciate everything she did to get me on that council.
But
And
why the urge to serve? Why not just sit home
You
and
know,
let the world go
because
by?
I grew up in this big family of 8 kids,
Mm-hmm.
big Catholic family in Phoenix. That's
Yeah.
where I was born and raised. And I just learned as a kid, you serve and work. You want a bike, you go work and get the money, you buy a bike. I would mow lawns at 7, 8, 9 years old.
Yeah.
And all my friends
In
went
Phoenix?
In Phoenix, yes, in the summer.
Oh.
And, well, from about 7 to 1.
I was going to say.
And then you go to the swimming pool. But that's, I don't know. It's my mother. She just instilled values of work and service. My father was my Boy Scout leader. So I just had, it's in my book, just the amazing
You really
childhood. None of this broken family or things like that. It was just
solid.
But the urge
solid.
to serve is not one I see as prevalent as when I was a kid. We were talking about athletes, and we were talking about others.
But I think,
it was about being
Paul,
humble. It was about giving back if you had success.
But I think honestly, if you have that servant's heart, you're going to find a way of being of service, one way or the other. And then if you come from, I think, a military family where you have there's
my
a sense
father,
of pride of that, then
I remember we put the flag up, every Veterans Day, Memorial Day.
Yeah.
That was so cool. And my dad had this big flag we'd hang vertical from the front yard. It was really neat. So we were always a very patriotic family, pledge allegiance all the time. Right. And I went to Catholic schools.
I did too. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Brad did for a while
actually,
too. Yeah.
so did I at nuns in Kuwait, out of all places.
There you go.
I don't want to be left out of this conversation.
But we didn't have the money to go to the Catholic school, so we had to pay our own tuition, high school. As kids. So we mowed lawns and
you paid to go to a Catholic high school?
Yes,
you
sir.
Paid. Wow.
That's really Catholic.
Yes. Well, my buddies were all. I didn't want to go to the public school. All my buddies are going to Catholic
school, right?
Yeah.
So
shout out to what Catholic school was it?
Bourgade Catholic School in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay. Bishop Bourgade.
So
best 4 years of my life to this day was my high
really?
school.
Okay.
So the thing about this is, you have been very much, and I've known you long enough. Like you are just you are what you seem. You get, you're a straight shooter. You just basically lay it out. We've had situations where we've not necessarily agreed on things, but there's always been a common respect on each other's opinion. I think
that doesn't happen much anymore.
But you see, but this is why I wanted to have Greg on the show, because it is important to remember that somebody who is patriotic, like we just talked about, somebody that's of service, whose heart is in the right place, who goes out of the way to basically be involved in better things, okay, gets eaten up sometimes by the political machine.
Oh my God, yes.
Right?
Especially in Orange County.
If
I was living in Montana or Arizona, I'd be like a rock star.
Oh yeah.
Here they just eat you up and spit you out.
Yeah. You and another friend of the show, Frank Shankwitz, who was basically the founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. New film coming out just around the corner called Wishman. Go see it, everybody!
Okay.
Right?
Wishman.
Yeah, you guys need to hang out. Honestly, I think the two of you.
He was a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, he is a very cool guy. He's an old cowboy, motorcycle cop. That's a book that you should definitely go see the movie. Greg.
Started the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Make-A-Wish Foundation
met this little kid who was dying. And he wanted to get a uniform and be
go to.
I'll watch it tonight.
No. Go to Podbean, everybody, and look for the episode where Frank Shankwitz was basically on this show.
Okay.
And then prepare yourself for the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
and he has a book too. That's
how and why they
Amazon.
started this on a shoestring and how it's grown to be this international movie.
Literally around the kitchen table when it first started.
To help one kid. Who wanted to be before he died, wanted to get a little Chips uniform.
One of those stories that really should be made into a movie. So I'm so glad that. And congratulations.
Well, my
Frank,
book was made into a screenplay. My
Yeah.
book.
Yours was too.
Yeah, it's being shopped around Hollywood right now.
Cool. Oh.
Trying to find a good producer, and
Between the two,
I might
you
have
guys-
a guy who's going to fund it. So,
Oh.
in fact, that's where I'm going right after.
Okay, all right.
So you heard it here on the Raad Life.
Yes.
Can I tell you something?
9 Lives of the Fighter Pilot.
Yeah, it's
Can
gonna
I
be a
tell you
movie.
something interesting that we're seeing happen? I shouldn't even really.
You want to be in my movie?
I would, yeah.
I'd
Do I
like
get
to
to wear
be in
my
your
shirt?
movie.
All right. We're going to
there-
have Bradley Cooper play me.
Who would play Rad?
I don't know. We'll find. We'll get.
Somebody good. What I was going
Tom
to say is
Cruise.
people are taking
Sweet
podcasts
Tucker.
now seriously, and they're turning podcasts, they're using them as a proof of concept in the same way that a play or a book showed there was an audience for something. Hollywood is now buying podcasts and turning them into TV series.
Well, don't forget. I mean, you turn on Netflix and turn on anything like that and see
Yeah.
how much content that's
I
original
know.
content, right?
Yeah. Well, Netflix is looking maybe like a 7 or 8 series show series. Or
Yeah,
something.
right.
So
I'm
there's
really excited
There's
for
so
you.
many different outlets now.
That's
it's just
awesome.
not. It's just
Right.
not Universal, movies. It's
No.
all these other
Dozens of
Well,
them, and
hey,
they're
you-
making these.
I mean,
things, yeah.
talk about other alternative outlets. We are right here.
Right.
You didn't hear Greg talk about his screenplay or possibility of funding for a movie anywhere else.
That's right.
There you
We
go.
broke the news.
News broke right here.
Right here. So. Any producers out there?
You know what? I may have a couple for you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and now even more reason to connect you.
The
with Frank.
screenplay's it's pretty cool. They had to add.
Well, the book was
add
really great.
They had to add some flair.
Sure.
How I met my wife at the officers club, and I kind of dissed her, and then she slaps me. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
So you want to see Greg get slapped?
Yeah, there you go.
Go see the movie. But okay, so let's go back to this thing about Orange County specifically. Okay, eating you up, the political machine eating you up. Okay, the sort of traditional approach to stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you have not been spared, my friend.
No, they said I've been in politics. This is my 5th year.
Yeah, you,
And they
Mr.
said-
Patriot, 40
yeah.
years of service, or 30 years of service, 40 years in South County,
Yeah.
salt of the earth, corner
Right.
pillar of the community. Okay,
You know what they told me
You
yesterday?
stick
You-
your hand up and you go, "Hey, I'll run for Congress."
They said your time has come and gone.
Really?
Yesterday they told you your time is
After
coming. Gone.
I've been in 4.5 years in
Boy, you have
politics.
5 years. Come on, that's forever.
Okay,
It's a
you know
dog-
what? I'm not going to ask you on the air, but honest to God, I want you to tell me off the air
I
who
will.
the heck said that.
I
to you.
will. I'll tell you.
All right, can I just interrupt?
We are
But-
so lacking.
I sat with this guy. I go, combat decorated Marine, highly decorated, air medals, the works. Mayor of the second largest city of the 45th congressional
Absolutely.
district. Vice chairman of the Veterans Advisory Council. I helped run a charity, Patriots and Paws.
You were a businessman.
Eagle
You were other
Scout,
things, yeah.
businessman.
Right.
And he goes
With wide reach
You know what
over
they
the
said?
county.
You know what they said?
Yeah.
Well, we're looking for a woman, you know.
Yeah.
And if you're
We gotta-
Asian,
we
that
gotta
might
fit the
even be
times.
better.
So
We
we're,
gotta fit the
we'll
times.
talk about that in a minute, right?
Can you believe it?
Yeah.
I go, what about a Marine?
You know what, Greg? I do believe it, and I believe it because there is no substance upon which to run. They don't really have substantial.
So it's
stuff to run on.
identity.
So
It's-
what
it's
they're
a-
doing
it's a-
is
yeah.
they're doing an identity run,
Yep.
and they got. I'm sorry to put it this way, but they got handed their ass last election cycle
Right.
because they did
Republicans,
not
yeah.
have minority representation, they did not have female representation, and they did not have a clear message.
No, they did. They had Mimi Walters, and they had young Kim.
Yeah, that's true. They had a lot of
39.
female.
That
And
was-
they had
more-
Diane. And they had Diane Harkey.
But-
we
Yeah.
had 3 women.
But-
they all lost.
But there's
Right.
a problem. The problem is that was establishment
Yes.
candidates that were either running for re-election or, I think in some cases, right?
Young Kim was running the first time, and Diane Harkey was first time. She was a Board of Equalization.
My point is, but Diane
but
Harkey
they
and
were
Young Kim
establishment.
established
They were very
public
establishment.
Right.
Mimi Walters
Right.
establishment.
And the face
yeah.
of Orange County changed. I keep
Right.
telling people, and
Right.
they should refer to this. Every single person listening to the show should refer to this. It's been a couple of years that this report came out. It was a joint effort by UCI and UCLA. And it basically is called The Changing Face of Orange County.
Right.
And it talked about the demographic changes.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah, and nobody listened to it on either side, by the way.
Right.
They just basically, oh, that's really cool. Let's just put it on the shelf.
And the
Right?
desire to
And-
change,
and
even
so-
beyond the demographics, we seem as a body politic to want something new and different always. We don't want established anymore for some reason, and we don't want. We want whatever the flavor of the month is.
Well, I want to ask you this question, okay? So, from your perspective, because again, you've had the inside seat
Right.
for a long time, how do you think the political landscape lays out in Orange County, and specifically maybe differently in South County, from your perspective today, different from before?
Has it gone from blue to red,
hold on.
red to blue? or-
I want to.
I think South County is still very red. I know Mission Viejo, Lake Forest, Rancho Santa Margarita, San Clemente.
Is it the same kind of red?
No, but it's well, we're aging in place, so it's the same kind of red a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, I did very, very well on my 2 elections in city council. I think Irvine is more Asian now. You get a lot of immigrants coming in from China and in the Orient. I believe once you get further north, more Hispanic, Santa Ana,
Sure.
that area. But I think the Hispanic community is growing, and the Asian community is growing, and the
As a voter bloc.
in the Democratic Party, and
Yeah.
you know what else is growing? Actually, the Republican and Democrats are going down, but no party preference. That's what's growing.
Thank you for bringing
That's
that up.
Rad's
where
point
I
all
was
the time.
going, right?
Yeah.
That the growth hasn't been Republicans going down and Democrats going up. It's both a pox on both
Going
parties.
down,
Yeah.
and MPPs. Even guys are Democrats, and I got all this data.
Yeah.
Democrats
Yep.
and Republicans are leaving the party and going MPP, as
Right.
well as the millennials are on all MPPs.
You are
Right.
echoing
Yeah.
what we've been talking about on this show
Yes.
off and on for a long time, Greg. Honestly, the only party, and I will say this proudly, the only party I ever registered for was the Republican Party. I registered when I basically had to do selective service, right? And I voted for Reagan, and I voted for Bush Sr. In fact, I had 2 degrees of separation knowing that family, right, through somebody that we were neighbors with in Kuwait, and basically voted for George W. first term around, voted for Clinton. You know, my point is I was registered as a Republican for the longest time. And then I abandoned party affiliation. And it's been over 10 years that I've done that, right? And I live in the boilerplate of redness down in San Clemente, right? I mean, the only thing further south of us is the military base.
Camp Pendleton. Right.
Okay. So I have seen it from the trenches where the party on the Republican side has lost women, Republican registered voters, middle age and younger.
Suburban voters.
Okay, suburban voters, soccer moms. And everybody basically turned a blind eye.
Right.
And as a result, we are now looking, and it's not a phenomenon only to Orange County, I think it's a national phenomenon, but in Orange County even, we are about 30% non-party preference.
Right. No, it's a little bit higher.
It's a little higher than 30%?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you position yourself? Because you're not just looking for voters in Mission Viejo.
No, you got.
So do you appeal to the R tribe, the D tribe, or the no tribe?
And
you know why they're leaving? Because both parties lie all the time.
Right.
oh, you heard that here.
They go to Washington and they just do what they want and forget about us. That's why Mimi Walters lost. She never came back and talked to us. I was 4 years on city council in Mission Viejo. She never ever once came and talked to our council like this. What can I do for you in Washington?
Right.
Now there's a Democrat, Luke Correa. He's all over his district. And I just went to a couple of his functions for veterans. That guy, I'm going to follow his lead, you know, when I'm a congressman.
And I've heard a lot of Republicans, interesting enough,
a veteran politician. He's been in it for a while.
But I've heard a lot of Republicans, hardcore Republicans, sort of tip their hat and say, if you want to look at somebody on the other side that we should match, it's Luke Correa. I don't know him, but I hear him mentioned quite often as an example of somebody who does it right.
Mimi lost. 85% of the Republicans voted for Mimi. That 15% didn't.
Yeah.
They either voted for Katie Porter or didn't vote at all. If she would have got 88 or 89, she would have won. So something upset them. I think one of them was that tax bill with the $10,000 salt tax deduction.
Yeah.
And she didn't have to vote for it. You know, I don't think Robacher did. And it hurt her. So,
but she felt, like many did, that she had to follow.
She had to, because she was on leadership.
Yeah. Right. She had to follow the party.
So she had to do what McCarthy tells her to do. And she was looking so far ahead of this election to be the head of the NRCC and everything else. And she looked beyond the 2018 election, and she lost.
That's where you're saying. We forget what the job is that you basically got elected for.
If I'm a congressman, I would be so proud. I would want to be in every neighborhood, everywhere. You know, I'm your congressman.
You know who's another couple of people that you should be looking at, and Harley's not doing it as well, but Mike Levin is doing a good job.
Yeah, I've been watching him. He's going to be tough to beat. I know they're targeting some of these districts, but one thing about South County, to get back, all the leadership in the cities are very conservative Republicans. I mean, the 10 cities in the 45th, I think the only one that's run by a Democrat would be Laguna Woods. So at that level, we're very conservative and Republican, but we lost all the congressional seats.
Well, look, all of them.
If I'm not using myself as an example,
not one of them. You guys lost all of them.
I would say that in California, if you are running on any side, you're likely to have the majority of people fall in the bracket of fiscally conservative, socially liberal,
right,
to one varying degree or the other.
Well, fiscal conservative, but these guys go to Washington and just spend.
Right, they forget that, right?
Well,
the party.
I always look at this government was formed on supposed to be a very small central government.
Yes,
and the states have all the rights.
Yes,
the federal government is national security, print money, general currency, and regulate interstate commerce. Period.
So let's talk about the printing of money and the bureaucracy, ballooning bureaucracy of local
because
county.
The Republicans came in again and didn't curtail any of that.
All right, but
I know.
But that we've established that, I think, pretty clearly, right? And I think if lessons are wisely learned, then there should be some adjustment that happens, right? Maybe from what you're telling me, the lessons being learned are not really being clearly learned, and maybe there will be another day of reckoning with some people.
Yep.
But unfortunately, that's sometimes how you learn. So let's talk about this fiscal conservative thing, fiscal responsibility, small government, not large ballooning, cash cows are basically,
It's cradle to grave.
Yeah.
We take care of, just
What
let us work and use our own money to take care of ourselves.
What are some of the issues, and I'm not going to focus on the TCA particularly, but what are some of the issues that you see specifically in your district?
What are people reacting to?
Well,
what are you saying?
We have a very large veteran contingency in the 45th,
Okay.
about 90,000 veterans.
Okay.
I think there's 140,000 veterans in Orange County.
Okay.
Majority of them are in the 45th.
Is that because of the proximity to what
El
was
Toro and Tustin and
Pendleton.
Camp Pendleton, but Bill Breaux, who's assemblyman, is working on a bill right now to do not tax the pensions of military guys for state tax, to keep them here in California. So a lot of people retire and leave California.
Well, because there's a quality of life, standard of living, cost factor.
You go to Texas, there's no tax.
Yeah.
You go to Arizona. There's several states.
Right.
There's no
Vegas.
no state income tax on veterans' pensions. Here they just rip us. So a big issue with veterans, and I'm real big on this, is the suicide rate. 20 a day.
Wow.
20 a day. Not in Orange County. I'm sorry, the United States, but it's a crisis, and I don't think anyone's looking at it.
No. Sadly.
I know there's some, red, blue ribbon commissions and all that, but I want to get a handle on that.
And the associated rise in homelessness among veterans, that's a big group. We've had a lot
yeah,
of
but
talk
we're getting,
about
the Tyranny Center in Tustin.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are great. I mean, we find a veteran in Mission Viejo who's homeless, man. We get him over there.
Yeah, we're talking to them, trying to get him on the show too.
Yeah, they take care of veterans, but there's enough veterans issues out there that I want to go after.
What about the losing of youth and people that are born and raised in these communities that we're losing?
Aging in place. We're all going to be Laguna Woods.
Not the aging in place, but the young people that are basically unable to continue to live in these communities that they're born and raised and invested in because of cost of stuff, housing,
mostly.
jobs,
Well, people don't want to hear this, but let's go back to the parents.
Uh-huh.
All right, and you don't need to go to Yale. You don't need to go to UT or something. Why don't you go to Saddleback College for 2
it's a good
years?
school.
You go to San Diego State. As
Yep.
my kids did. It cost me $600, and they paid for it. We worked it together. So if the parents keep these kids out of debt through
you don't
college,
come out of college with $50,000.
right? And actually, my kids, and I'm going to use my own example. They worked through college, and they accumulated money. They accumulated money through college. They got their degrees. My twin daughters now are both school teachers at Irvine Unified School. They left buying their own car.
Being of service as well.
They bought their own car, and they both bought a condo together before they got married. They sold it. Now they made money, so they're able to do it. So if you can come out of college with no debt or even money in the bank, and then your parents can help you you can stay in this area.
Right.
But this crap where you got to go to whatever the most expensive college in the nation, you can never come back here.
No, you're behind the 8 ball before you even start.
Right. Obviously, yes, it's very high cost of living here, but if you bust your butt and work hard, you can hack it. That's what my kids did. They all live here. My daughters, both beautiful homes in Irvine, in the new where the Great Park where I used to fly airplanes, in Beacon Park, and my son lives in a beautiful home in San Juan Capistrano.
Can I raise one other issue, though, that I thought was fascinating, your first story here? And that is, again, what's turning people off about political parties. You came in as a fresh face, as an outsider, after retiring from the military, and you did some work in private sector. And you said, what else can I do with my life? I'm not ready to quit, not ready to sit home and watch TV. What else can I do to serve and get involved? So you got involved in city council. And that led to some people say, hey, why don't you run for Congress? And
no one said that.
Nobody said that.
Well,
I said that.
He said that.
You said, all right, but it wasn't as crazy as it sounded because you had
one Mimi.
Well, yeah, because she was the next in line. This idea that, and that's what Raad hated about the Democratic Party the last go-around, that they nominated Hillary because she was the next in line. Forget about Bernie. She was crowned. And this whole idea that the party decides who to present, the party puts you all in a line up here, and you can't break that. If you do, then the money doesn't come and the endorsements don't come, and they work against you.
I'll tell you what really bothered me about what happened with Greg when he basically ran, was that his being of service meant that he was stationed at the White House at some point under Clinton. Yes. And rather than basically commend him for his service.
Very prestigious job to get. Interviewed 8 times. to get into that position. 6 months of background
As
checks.
a military advisor.
I was a colonel.
Attaché.
I worked at the East Wing at the White House for then President Clinton. It didn't matter who the president was.
Right.
It just happened to be Bill Clinton.
You're in the military. You were a service. You served the country.
And they pulled the one picture out of your book with Bill Clinton's arm around you and said he's a Clintonite.
I don't know. No, they found a picture with me in a suit, not my military uniform.
Of course not. They wouldn't do that.
And they said it. Greg's a Bill Clinton Republican, and they all. This is what they really pissed me off. In my book, I would fly with the president all around the world.
Right.
We were over in Israel with Netanyahu, and then it was Yasser Arafat working on peace. And I'm in this room watching this whole process. And I'm like, Clinton's just an amazing diplomat. You know, I'll give you this, you give him that. And in my book, I said, if I'm ever a diplomat, I would like to be like Bill Clinton, where they take out. I want to be like Bill Clinton from Greg's book, page whatever, then have superimpose a picture of Bill and Monica Lewinsky. So Greg Raths wants to be like Bill Clinton. There's Bill and Hillary, or Bill and Monica.
Right.
And I was like 6 points up going into like a month out of the race in 2014, and then I lost by 12 points.
And I'll tell you, people will do stuff like that because it was working. It may even work next time around as well, probably will. But I will tell you, for somebody like me, the minute I see something like this, I don't really care for what else not you, but whoever's putting that out got to stand for, because they basically just had no integrity.
No.
There's no ethics, there's no integrity, and if you have no ethics and no integrity, I ain't going to basically elect you for office.
But that's what politics is all about, and it's win at any cost,
yeah, but,
and it's all about negative.
But you know what? And I've told
national
you this.
politics.
I've told you this, Paul. Right? The Republicans got their ass handed to them last election cycle in Orange County. If you're smart, you're listening and paying attention. The Democrats are not immune either.
No,
okay?
I think they can
so this whole
stumble the same way
that we have had, this whole game book that we're basically, we're using, it's backfiring. And so I'm glad. I know you personally, and I'm glad that you basically are still putting your hat in the ring.
Well, I worked 4 years in Washington, so I know the White House, I know the Congress, I know the Pentagon.
You've seen it, right?
I know where the bodies are buried.
Right.
So I have that experience. And what got me into politics in 2012, when Obama won his second term, I wasn't a big President Obama fan. Mitt Romney loses, and I'm like, either I can whine and cry like everyone else, or I do something.
Yeah.
Right.
So I Googled how to run for Congress.
I remember you said I Googled
it.
how to run for Congress.
You got to do FEC 4.1.
That should be an ad on Google.
Yeah, FEC 2. And it told me everything I had to do. Our Congressman John Campbell was retiring, and I'm in. And then Mimi jumps in, and I think John Morlock jumped in for a while. And then there's a few others, and then Mimi, I came in third. And I didn't get like 2%. I got 24%, which is from a nobody.
Total unknown. Right.
Totally unknown. She got 37. The Democrat got 28. I got 24. And if what wasn't for those two big mailers she put out, I would have been in at least the top 2.
I am astounded, Greg, honestly, at what you just shared with me and somebody told you yesterday. Because you would think that this party, with a little bit of street smarts, with a focus on winning, would look at somebody like you and say that you're checking all the boxes.
Right.
From their perspective, you're checking all the boxes.
Well, and we want something.
No, there's one box missing: my skin color. I'm white. They're not looking for a white guy.
And you're old, and you're male, and you're all these things that.
I'm not that old. Be nice.
Oh, you're like as old as I am, maybe.
Like it's identity politics. Like you said,
right.
they're looking. There's more Asians now in Irvine. Maybe we need an Asian candidate.
So because I don't want to not talk about this because I'll get crucified if I don't talk about this.
Right.
But I want to give you kudos on the topic of the TCA and the toll road extension through San Clemente, because you, with a very fair and open-minded approach, very early on, when it became something that was on your radar screen, and you at the city council level, you basically.
Well, I was on TCA for 1 year,
right,
and then the new mayor comes in. Frank Urie takes me off.
Yeah,
they integrated both boards, and they only wanted one person, so they kept then Ed Sachs on the board, which is fine, So
it's certainly one of the problems, though, for non-continuity that happens on that board sometimes. Yeah.
So I'm like, I backed off, and okay, I'll go do something else. I was expecting to be mayor the second year, and they
skipped
me.
That's a polite way to say it.
So
don't,
Frank,
don't skip a Marine.
no, I was
not a good idea.
Yeah, but I moved on.
Yeah, you did. You're a good
So they left one guy on, so I didn't follow it real close, but all of a sudden a resolution came up that we're going to vote to
At the city council.
City council, and the gallery is full of San Clemente residents. And they
In Mission Viejo.
In Mission Viejo, and they're like,
Because we're a bunch of like activists. We just go to every city council meeting.
no, but they
kidding.
had their point. They don't
Yeah.
want a toll road right through their city, and I understood their point. There's all these different ways of getting around it. And I'm like, why are we doing why are we doing this in San Clemente? So it was 4-1. I was the one, and they wanted it unanimous, but I didn't go unanimous, so that didn't help my stock too much.
Well, and I know a lot of people in San Clemente very much appreciate it.
Right, but I just we don't do that to neighbors.
And why was Mission
It was
Viejo?
just a non-binding resolution
Yeah.
that we're just passing.
Why
to
is
say,
Mission Viejo getting involved anyway?
Well, what happens is that 241 drops off at Oso Parkway, so a lot of traffic dumps into our city, but it also brings a lot of commerce to our city.
Exactly.
The gas stations and grocery stores. But now it goes down to Count Camp Road, which is 6 more miles. And I've been out of the loop, but I know they're trying to find some route where they hook it up to La Plata,
Right.
and then it ends down there. That's kind of where it ends. But I always thought they could find a way to get to the 5, either around Pendleton area, around your city. But, if they're going to put a toll road right down Marguerite Parkway in Mission Viejo, I sure the hell would be at the council who's trying to do this.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
So I voted against it and made some enemies, but I didn't care. It's just the way I felt.
I think you made a lot of friends
Right.
too.
So I picked up mayor this time, and last man standing, I'm finally mayor, and I made some changes, and I took some hits for that. I brought in Trish Kelly, who's 4-time mayor of Mission Viejo, just a great gal, and put her on TCA, and she's doing a great job, and they seem happy with her. So.
Yeah, and if anybody wants more of the updated information about that, there's a couple of articles in the LA Times that just came out that were not very positive at all, and I'm being very sensitive and not really throwing anybody under the bus. But let's just say that if you are anywhere in South County and you are curious about this agency and what's been going on and what the whole hoopla is about, go educate yourself.
Well, I know Bill Burrow's taking some heat now because he's sponsoring a bill to have the TCA just handle taking in the money and stuff and getting out of the planning business. And oh my God, all hell's breaking loose down south.
Well,
we city came against that, but
Yep.
I'm trying to educate myself more. What's the whole value of the TCA, and what's the value of OCTA, and the value of Caltran? How does it all work together? Aren't these roads supposed to be paid off pretty soon? So
Yeah.
they should have
Right.
been paid off already.
yeah, so we can drive them for free. Why aren't they done yet? This flyover from the 241 to 91.
I was at the last board meeting, and I did not speak. I tried to speak, but then I basically backed out of it. I didn't submit my card in time. Yeah, we got only a couple minutes. But basically, the whole presentation against Bill Bros, and thank you, Mr. Bro, Assemblyman Bro, for actually your bill, because I think it's very much needed, even if it's for nothing else other than to activate the conversation and have the focus on this, which is past due. But and people can go find out about the bill and what it is and whether you support it or not. It's out there already. But what I found very interesting is the whole rebuttal against why the bill should be supported or not even voted on one way or the other was a presentation that was put together that basically stated, if the TCA goes away, then all the traffic that's on the toll roads is going to get dumped on the freeways. Well, I'm sorry.
As
is
if
the
they're going to
TCA
shut down the road,
Is the TCA
yeah.
rolling up the roads and taking it with them? Because I would think that the exact opposite, the premise of that presentation is completely flawed.
If it goes away, then poor people. Right now, it's at 300,000 a day use a toll road.
Follow your second
right.
pound of logic. Then
Right.
more people would use free roads,
Right.
so it would actually take away load off the freeways.
It's my argument for the carpooling. If everybody gets in it, then we can keep moving
Exactly.
faster. But one thing about Mission Viejo,
Yeah.
is we have a trauma center, and there's talking how to get to it from
Yeah.
all parts of the county. That's pretty huge. And then there's something I'm just learning about. Property tax goes to TCA.
Oh,
some
yeah.
of it. And I wasn't aware of this
And
until only
development- and
recently.
development
and
fees.
development fees goes to the toll roads.
The Chase Bank that got built in the parking lot of the Lowe's in San Clemente, in Tolega, which basically is a developed area that had no signs that I saw that basically said a road's coming through here. paid development fees.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that. I'm just learning that.
Yeah, there's a rate sheet. I saw it every time we basically submitted anything in Dana Point for projects. There was a rate sheet that basically told exactly what was owed to the TCA.
So
and that's across the county.
Property tax and taxes.
So why aren't the bonds paid off already?
That's that's something to look at. So,
Right.
but
And before, because
I don't mind talking about TCA.
well, we're all
No.
up against the clock because we got another show. We'll get ready to go. So
What's
what's the announcement?
What's the announcement?
What's the announcement? And then
He's
we'll,
running for.
I'm running for the 45th Congressional District of Orange County, which is 10 cities: Mission Viejo, RSM, Lake Forest, Irvine, Villa Park, Laguna Hills, Laguna Woods.
we just had the election, and all of a
Lake
sudden you're
Forest.
announcing
Yes.
that you're running
Primary,
against.
right?
Yeah, the primary's next March. They moved the primary to March. It used to be June, so we got to get started early. So from now till September, just fundraise, and then put a team together. Probably November, December, January.
And this is the district who
Katie Porter has it now. She's a freshman Democrat. Never ever been a Democrat in this seat. So it's the number one targeted seat by the Republicans.
because this was Mimi's seat.
It was Mimi's seat. Mimi's not running. She's not going to run again. So I'm going to use my experience from Washington, 4 years of experience. My experience as a mayor of the second largest city, and my 30 years experience as a combat decorated Marine, to show how I am going to continue to serve my community and my district.
Listen, regardless of whether it's blue or red, I have nothing but the utmost respect for people who step up and basically are willing to be of service.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You need to talk to my wife.
She can call me. You can give her my number.
Right.
I will talk to her very much. I appreciate you. I
Sure.
appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate what you've stood for and what I've seen by your own actions over at least the
And your
last 30
openness
years.
and willing to look
willingness,
at
yeah.
issues and not
Very-
just approach it as a here's what I was handed by the party and here's what I'm going to vote for.
Yeah, we did a name ID poll, and mine's really high.
I bet.
It's higher than Katie Porter's.
I bet yours are high.
So-
You're a pillar of that community.
I know. I wasn't looking for this seat. I was actually looking for supervisor 2022. So I've been out there all throughout the district. And then when Mimi lost, I'm like, well, there's an opening.
Yeah.
Because I loved Washington. When I worked there for 4 years. They call it the swamp and everything, but
But you're right at the wellhead, right?
I know,
Yeah.
there's some good people,
Yeah.
but we need to clean it up. And
What? How can people find out about you? I know you're all over social media.
yeah, you go to my website, gregraths.com, GREGRATHS.com, Greg Raths, and I'll check if you went to it because I check every night how many people go to it.
And he's
And buy the
on
book,
Facebook,
go to the movie.
he's on Instagram.
Greg Raths, Instagram,
Are we
Twitter.
doing
active
crowdfunding for the movie? Are we
Twitter,
doing a
man,
crowd?
they've been mean to
Twitter.
me lately.
Let's
Twitter's
do a
been mean-
crowdfunding.
Yeah, I used to get like one person who tweets or something hits me, and all of a sudden like 15 the other day.
Uh-huh,
I said
well-
something about somebody.
What did you say about your name recognition?
Yeah, I know.
That's
They're-
what's-
they're-
Why
that's
don't
where
we
it's
do a
coming
crowdfunding campaign for the movie?
I know. How many listen to this? We got a pretty good
Oh, yeah.
audience.
from. As controversial as some of the issues that we've been talking about, probably about 1,400 people in about 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool.
Yeah, and we'll get it out. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll
Check me out though.
Yeah.
I'm a solid guy. I'm not. What you see is what you get.
Yeah,
There's nothing.
I second that from my own personal
Nobody's
experience.
throwing this big money at me. Every buck I get donated, I got to work hard for it.
I mean, I have met Katie. I think it's wonderful that anybody who steps up and basically is of service. I've known you, and I will tell you what you see is exactly what you get with Greg. So
Nothing against
definitely-
Katie. I just
No.
I love Washington.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know that.
I love to
and
serve, yeah.
I know that about you. So I totally get that. That's why it's not about that. It's about, this show was about basically, hey, this is my friend Greg Raths.
Thanks.
Here's what he stands for. At least go find out for
And on many
yourself.
issues, I would picture you guys on opposing camps. I mean, you haven't been in something,
But
but
I've been. I Trump haters. I like Trump on certain issues, but we can talk, and we can work it out.
Yeah.
And
Well,
some people can't anymore.
Most can't
We'll just
anymore.
end
Most
most. You were
can't.
on the front cover of the Sunday paper.
Yes, so
And
the
it
register.
basically said you basically are in love with Trump.
No, they called me, a guy named
It said it in the paper. It must be true.
Josh
Yeah.
Horseman. He goes, "Do you like Trump?" And I'm like, "Well, what he's done for veterans has been amazing. He's
Yeah.
cleaned up the VA, and we go to Laguna Hills instead of Long Beach now. And there's not one word of that in the article. It's just that I walk. This is a great story. I walk up to this house. I've run for city council last year, There's an American flag. There's a big old F-150, a gun rack. I go, this got to be a Trump supporter, right? So I knock on the door. He goes, what's your thoughts on Trump? I love the guy. Get the hell off of my property. That was the lead story. So I thought it was pretty good.
Are you listening Republican Party?
Yes.
He goes, can I use that? I go, yeah, put it in your article. I don't care. So, they're going to tag me with Trump anyways, running as a Republican.
But
wait a minute. I thought you were Clinton. You can't be Clinton and Trump.
How can I be a Clinton Republican?
But that's what I love about you, Greg, honest to God, is that you will take the hits.
No, I take the hits.
You'll take the hits.
For my own party.
And what is really admirable is that you don't lose who you are in the process of taking the hits.
We're going to have to lose the
Thank
conversation,
you
though,
for being
because we're
authentic,
done.
my friend. I appreciate you being here.
And I sleep well at night.
Okay.
I'll bet you do.
Join us next week for another episode of the Raad Life. Sorry, I almost forgot what the name of the show is. But the Raad Life next week. Interesting.
It's the Raths.
And then we have some interesting people coming up.
Did you say the Raths Life or the Raad Life?
The Raths Life. This episode is called the Raths Life.
Look for the movie, 9 Lives of a Fighter Pilot.
Okay.
You have been listening to the Raad Life radio show with your host and age explorer, Raad Gontos, brought to you on the one and only octalkradio.net. Join us again next week as we continue our journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older.